How do you even start this video? Who knows? Hello, beautiful people! It looks like we've finally made it here on YouTube. This week I had my very first YouTube copyright strike. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Stephanie. I create tin whistle tutorials of popular music online, which basically means that all the content I create, the copyright for that music is owned by somebody else. It's somebody else's original composition, and I make a tutorial for it here on YouTube. And a lot of people wonder how musicians get away with that, and it's quite a complicated process. So if you've just received a copyright strike and you're in the same boat as me, please do stick around. If you're one of my regular subscribers and you want to know what's going on, this is something that could potentially affect the entire future of my channel and what I do. So stick around. I'm going to get into what a copyright strike is, how it differs from copyright claims, and the position that I find myself in now I've received one. Let's get into it. So first things first, there are a few things you need to know about copyright in order to understand what has happened right now. Any music that an artist has created, for example, Elton John creates a song, that song, its lyrics, its chord progression, the notes in that song all belong to Elton John as the singer-composer of that piece of music. Big stars like this get their music produced and distributed and sort of taken care of by record labels, essentially. And those record labels basically identify covers of that piece of music that people are putting on the internet without a license. So legally, in order to be able to create a cover of somebody else's original song, you need to get a license. And this license needs to be paid for, so that basically you're paying that original artist so that you can kind of make your own little version of their work. Now, generally, if you're performing that music in a public space, you need a performance license. If you're just making an audio track, you need what's called a mechanical license. And if you're putting any video whatsoever to a cover that you're making, you also need something called a synchronization license. So for the cases of YouTube, it would mean that for every single video I create, and that any other artist creates of Elton John's song, we would all need to get two licenses, the mechanical license for the audio and the sync license for the video. So this doesn't sound too complicated, right? Well, let's get into that a little bit further. In order to obtain both a mechanical and a sync license, you need to find out the record label that deals with that artist. So that means that every song I want to cover, I need to search for who originally wrote that song, potentially who covered that song legally, and decide whose version I'm going to try and work from, and then find out which record label that artist comes under. Then I need to get in touch with that record label directly, propose what I want to do, maybe even show them what I plan to do. So I need to have worked out the tune, have recorded the audio, have recorded the video, and done the whole thing, including the tutorial, and then present it to that record label. And then that record label will go back to the artist or will decide themselves whether they actually want to allow me to publish my version and my tutorial publicly on the internet. If they do actually agree, which is highly unlikely because, let's face it, why would you want a tin whistle tutorial of your song on the internet? Well, they're going to charge a fee, and sync license fees in particular can cost thousands and thousands of pounds per song, per video I make. Now, YouTube is actually pretty amazing in that it already kind of has this mechanical license built in, so that a lot of artists have already signed up and made an agreement with YouTube that they will run adverts on anybody who produces a cover of their song. So say, for example, I wanted to cover a song that had been created and played by the Dubliners. Then they've actually signed a deal with YouTube, or whoever is representing them has signed a deal with YouTube, in so much as that if they recognize that my cover is a cover of their song, then they'll run ads on my video. And the revenue from those ads will go towards the original artist. So the Dubliners would make money from my cover. This is technically me, as the cover artist, paying the licensing fee directly to the artist, but through YouTube, without me having to go and find out all those things that I needed to for sync licensing. Basically, a whole selection of artists have enabled other musicians to make covers of their music and post them on YouTube, and then we pay our licensing fee through our ad revenue directly to the artists, and that is incredible. Some artists, however, like the Eagles, don't let you do this. And this usually means that they either block or remove your video from YouTube and you get a copyright strike. Now, with my previous example, a copyright claim is basically the original artist or the person representing that artist claiming that copyright. So they say, you've made a cover of my song, I can see this is my song, it's okay, I'll let you use that cover, but I want to create money from that song, so I'll put ads on and I'll take all the money from that. You won't get anything, but I'll allow you to keep the video up, which is great. A copyright strike, on the other hand, is when the owner of that original piece of music says, whoa, I don't want that video on the internet. I don't want you to use my original music. I don't want you to cover my music. I don't want your video online. And it's a legal action. So it's a legal takedown. And my video from the Eagles, Hotel California, was requested to be taken down. And you don't get any warning of this. You don't get a request to remove it. It's just removed and you get a copyright strike. Well, it doesn't sound all that bad. There's no legal action taking place. But if I get 3 strikes, YouTube deletes my entire channel. No warning, no compromise. If I get 3 strikes, I'm out. So everything I've done for the last 7 years gets deleted from the internet for good. Now, this is my first strike in 7 years of posting videos on YouTube. So most people kind of think, well, that's okay, because it's the first strike in 7 years, so it's highly unlikely that in the next 90 days, which is how long that strike is active for, I'll get 2 more strikes. So it's pretty unlikely. But having said that, I've got about 750 potential videos, all of which at any point in time could be liable to grant me a copyright strike. So now I have 1 copyright strike, I kind of really don't know what to do next, because here are my options and here are the problem that I've got with those options. There are 750 plus songs and tutorials on my channel already, all of which, or most of which, are me playing somebody else's music without licenses or permission. A lot of those are covered by this YouTube partner program, so they'll run ads and make revenue, but a lot of those kind of aren't. And at any point, any one of the record labels or representatives of those artists could get in touch with me and request my video be taken down, and then I'll get another copyright strike. So the question is, to avoid further copyright strikes in the next 90 days, to avoid my whole channel being deleted, do I now go through and delete all the videos on my channel that have copyright infringement or copyright claims on them so far, in the hope that that won't get me any more strikes, which could mean deleting like 50% of the videos on my channel? That's my first option. My second option, of course, is to try and get licensing. Well, I got a quote this morning for licensing, and it came out at about 10,000 euros to license the stuff that I do. And as like one tiny little person creating free educational content for people to enjoy on YouTube, I don't have staff, I don't have a huge income. I'm just kind of doing this as one person from one wall in my house. So I don't have the money to spend £10,000 on licensing. And I don't even really know enough about copyright to know that that license actually covers everything I need it to anyway. So technically I'd need to get an attorney or a lawyer of some sort who knows enough about music copyright to advise me on that first, which is an extra expense. So I don't really think that's possible. And obviously for certain tracks like that Eagles version, a lot of the licensing I can try and get, I might not get granted anyway. And I'll already have to have done all the work before I find out whether that would be able to be licensed. So really, time-wise and monetarily, that's not an option. My third option is, of course, to play music that is in the public domain. Now, I spent all morning this morning searching and researching public domain tunes, and I kind of ran into some problems. The song that granted me a copyright strike was Hotel California by the Eagles, and the record label or the distribution company or whatever you call it that initiated that strike, that gave me that strike, was Universal Music Group. Now, I googled and searched a load of public domain songs. Public domain songs mean that they are no longer under copyright, so anybody can use them, anybody can cover them, you can use parts of the original song as well, and there are no restrictions to that. But unfortunately, what has happened is because they're old songs, people have done covers of those, and those cover songs are copyrighted. So, for example, I was looking at a really old Welsh song, which was something like David of the White House, and Bryn Terfel had done a version of it, and that version was copyrighted by Universal Music Group. So even some of the public domain songs potentially could land me with another copyright strike. So although everybody's saying, well, public domain should be the way forward, I don't even know if that is a surefire way to not get a copyright strike. And also because there's no actual legal documentation with public domain songs, there's no actual license that comes with them, it's kind of difficult to know that if you got into a case where you needed to prove that that song was in the public domain or to prove that you had the permission to use it, you can't get that because licensing for that song no longer exists because it's no longer under copyright. So it's kind of a double difficult one to head into. Now, I did wonder whether I could remove all the music on my channel that had copyright claims on it, which might make things a little more safe. And I did wonder whether I could potentially then list this on a different platform, something that wasn't public, so that people could pay and, for example, go and take a course of mine that was famous pop songs, popular music. And then you'd pay a small fee to access those videos on a private channel. But it turns out that obviously if you're providing a recording of that cover to the public, paid or unpaid, you still have copyright issues. So I would still need licensing for that. And because I'm kind of asking people to pay for it, then I think I need more licensing than I would need if I just posted it on YouTube. So that's kind of a no-go. Some other options include obviously playing music that I have permission to play. And so far, Adrian von Ziegler has said that I can play any of his music. And that is absolutely incredible. I've spoken to both him and his wife. They are wonderful people. And they've allowed me to make covers of all Adrian's music, which is absolutely amazing. But of course, my whole channel and my whole future of my channel can't be just playing one person's music as cover songs, because for those of you that aren't interested perhaps in playing fantasy music or Celtic music, and you want to play the stuff you know, then that's not necessarily a way forward for my channel either. Now, there is the option, obviously, of course, of playing original music. I could create all my own music and every single week play a different one of my own original tunes. But the problem is currently I put out 2 tutorials a week, and there's no way that I've got the expertise to compose 2 tunes a week that are of a high enough standard that anybody would actually want to come and listen, let alone learn to play. So really, in the long run, that's not really something that is doable for me, really. And also, I mean, I only play tin whistle. I don't play another load of instruments. So creating backing tracks or creating accompaniment to my tunes that would make things more interesting is kind of impossible for me right now, unless I'm going to pay some other people to do that. And then, of course, you get into copyright issues all over again because you're using other people to create music that you're also part of, that you've composed, but on your behalf. So I still end up no further forward. So the question I have is, how do I possibly continue from here? Where do I go? What do I post? How do I know what to do next? Because my problems are these. There's no way I can afford to license every single tune that you guys request and that I want to put on this channel that legally covers everything I offer you guys as part of a free teaching experience. There's no way I can afford to pay for licensing for everything, and I probably wouldn't get the legal permission for each one of those tunes anyway. Secondly, if I don't cover popular music, I'm probably not actually going to get anybody watching these videos anyway, because if I keep putting out a load of tunes and songs that you don't know, what's going to keep you guys coming back? Thirdly, it's highly unrealistic to expect that I'll be able to create my own music twice a week, and even that anybody would want to listen or play that anyway. Fourth, there's no guarantee that public domain music will actually not cause me any copyright problems. And of course, you then can't buy mechanical and sync licenses for music that's out of copyright anyway. So what do we even do? Now, I've also looked into things such as fair use, and unfortunately, there is a term that's called fair use, which means you're allowed to use other people's music content to a certain extent and in certain circumstances. And you'd think that mostly for educational purposes, this would be one of those fair use policies. But fair use differs per country. And as my content goes out to multiple countries, in fact, all countries across the world, there's no one set license that can cover like the whole world, because every country has their own copyright and licensing rules. So I have no idea what to do at all. On one hand, I am tempted to delete all the videos that have copyright claims in the hope that it will potentially save 7 years of work and my current only income and my current job. My husband kind of thinks it's no big deal because it's my first copyright strike in 7 years and I probably won't get another one, so I should just carry on. And I genuinely have absolutely no idea what to do. So if you know anything about this whatsoever, or you have any suggestions or comments or ideas, please leave them down below. Also, as I said in a post that I put out this week, please go and enjoy my tutorials while they're available. I've no idea at this stage what the future of my channel looks like, how long any of these videos will be available if I do get additional copyright strikes and the channel gets taken down. Yeah, somebody even suggested downloading all my videos and putting them somewhere else so I had a storage of them, but with 750 videos, and this being my only income and me being the only member of staff, I actually don't have the time to download 750 videos and find somewhere to store them, because I kind of need to be working to make money during that process. So I don't know what to do. If anybody has any suggestions, as I said, leave them down below. If you've had your first copyright strike or one of many on your channel, then please, I would love to hear from you. Again, leave me a comment down below. And hopefully I'll see you guys again soon with something I feel confident to put out publicly without causing any legal implications. Have a great weekend. I'll probably be here panicking. But hopefully I'll bring you some more tutorials as soon as I can. See you guys soon. Bye.